Well, joining us now to discuss the outcome of last Saturday's by-election, in which APGA secured both the Senate and House of Assembly seats in Anambra State, defeating candidates from the Labour Party and the ADC. Well, joining us is Sly Ezeokenwa, is the national chairman of Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA. You saw him in that report moments ago. Thank you very much for joining us on Newsnight, and I guess congratulations would be very much in order. But there are complaints of voter intimidation, suppression, violence, and what have you in the case of Anambra by-election. How much of these votes really are a true reflection of the people's will in Anambra State?
Well, thank you, my dear sister, for having me. I will always say this. Election is meant to be a reflection or a demonstration of the free will or free choice of the people expressed through credible balloting. And that's what transpired in Anambra State on the 16th of August 2025, when the people of Anambra South, and not just the people of Anambra South, the people of Onitsha North 1 constituency, and then of course citizens of the country across the remaining 14 constituencies where the by-elections were conducted, trooped out in mass to their various polling units to express their choice. And the election, from the report you've seen, apart from what transpired all the other parts of the country, was not different in Anambra State. In Anambra, what we witnessed was a very credible and transparent process. And for one, I am one of the firm believers in a constitutional democracy where the Electoral Commission, as the case may be, has a big role to play in deepening democracy by engendering a transparent electoral process. And that's what transpired in Anambra State. And I always say one thing. You see, when there is a contest, there ought to be a winner and a loser. And then we say that a winner has to be humble in defeat, in victory, and then the loser has to, as much as possible, concede defeat reasonably. So what we witnessed in Anambra was an utter decimation of the opposition in a situation where APGA won 99.99% of the polling units. I don't see the magic any other opposition party could have done. And so all these unnecessary accusations of intimidation, rigging and all whatnot does not hold water at all. What we witnessed was a very free, fair and credible process. And anybody that is decided to cry foul or just shout to the rooftops or do anything he wants to do, Anambra is APGA land. And the people of Anambra has once again demonstrated their unwavering faith in this party called APGA.
All right. Thank you very much. I mean, they say all politics is local, and perhaps the by-election also proved your point. Congratulations again. But when you have those allegations you have just described as unnecessary, don't they truly cast a shadow on your victory? And why do you call them unnecessary? If they do say their candidates was, kidnapped, there was intimidation. We've heard of those intimidation across the country in some other parts. Is it fair to say that there were unnecessary accusations and casting a shadow on your victory?
Okay, thank you, my sister Deswa. Let us situate what happened on Saturday within the proper context. And I'm going to use two scenarios that you actually played out here. One, the incident that happened in Osumenyi, which incidentally is the home community of the APC gubernatorial candidate for the November 8th election. And then the other incident that happened in Orifite, where the APC senatorial candidate for the election hailed from. In Osumenyi, we got a report that the APC governorship candidate, who, for the record, was not a candidate at the said by-election, was moving around freely, intimidating people, slapping agents of other political parties, intimidating presiding officers and all whatnot. He traversed from Osumenyi to a neighboring community called Ezinifite. And in Ezinifite, he actually beat up a serving commissioner, the current commissioner for environment, who was actually in his polling unit to cast his vote, and from there to other communities. And then the deputy governor, of course, by the constitutional mandate, the governor is the chief security officer of the state, then it presupposes that the deputy governor is the deputy chief security officer of the state. And when there is a dire report of a malhandling of a serving commissioner, then I think it is one that necessitates the rescue that actually happened by the deputy governor in at least trying as much as possible to stop the mayhem that the governorship candidate of APC was unleashing on innocent voters in his community. And I'll tell you this, he has been in politics, at least in Anambra, actively for the past 20-something years. And in those 20-something years, he does not allow members of his community to vote. It's his stock in trade. So what he does is he moves from polling unit to the other. And then on Saturday, for the first time, his people came out and revolted and said, see, enough is enough. Allow us to freely express our choice. And for the first time in 20 years, he actually lost the election in his polling unit and his entire community. And then for the APC senatorial candidate, what happened? Elections were conducted in polling units 011 and 012 in Orifite Ward 3. And while the INEC officials were, after they had already written the results, prepared the result, and issued duplicate copies to agents, and while on their way to the collation center for the collation of the result, what did we hear? The APC senatorial candidate blocked off the INEC buses that were conveying the materials that were used to conduct the election, as well as the election officials, inside his house. It was from there that they raised the alarm and contacted their supervising presiding officers. And then security agencies had no option than to come say, look, please release those you held hostage. They locked up their gate. In fact, in another video, if you don't have the video, I'm going to show you the video, where the President General of the community, who incidentally is also the President General of Anambra State community, I think ASTOC, you know, where the President General of Orifite community was outside there actually calling on the candidate to release those he was holding hostage. And so what we saw on Saturday was a case of people who were actually perpetuating the violence now run to the media to cry hoax. So as far as I'm concerned, as far as the majority of Anambrarians were concerned, the elections on Saturday was very free, credible and transparent, except for the attempt by the APC governorship candidate and their senatorial candidate to compromise the integrity of the process by engendering violence, which was firmly resisted, not just by the people, but by security agencies. And I commend security agencies and I commend INEC under the leadership of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu for staying true to their mandate of engendering and the transparent electoral process by, you know, as much as possible doing everything to conduct a free, fair and credible election on Saturday.
Well,
and that was for me a very commendable on the part of INEC.
Well, the winner usually commends INEC and the losers, you know, condemn INEC for poor showing. The fact is, from Kaduna, Ogun, Anambra again raises questions around, you know, the integrity of Nigeria's electoral process. I have to say thank you very much for joining us on Newsnight tonight. Sly Ezeokenwa is the national chairman of Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA.